at this point, I have to accept that my channel is just a Powerpuff Girls fan page, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Let's get into this episode. So, it's a peaceful day in Townsville, as peaceful as it ever is with a talking chimpanzee and a cross-dressing demon roaming around. And our girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, are just trying to have a relaxing recess when BAM! The mayor hits him up like, "Help! Somebody's robbing the bank!" The girls swoop in expecting the usual criminal chaos, but plot twist, the villain is a woman? A woman? Now, why am I saying it like that? Like, they don't have girl villains in the show. And not just any woman. Femme Fatale pulls up in a fierce white leather suit and a whole attitude, demanding only Susan B. Anthony coins. Why are you only going for coins? Don't you want cash? Hello? The reason she wants Susan B. Anthony coins is because she is tired of seeing men's faces on every coin and dollar she got in her purse.
Men can't do anything right!
Well, excuse me.
Who is this? Who is this?
Your mama!
It's Ben Franklin, you idiot!
A man!
Femme Fatale's out here doing felony feminism. She claims she's fighting the power, but really she's just snatching historical coins and twisting social justice language for her own gain. After apprehending her, the girls are momentarily taken aback when Femme Fatale accuses Townsville, and by extension society, of systematic sexism, including the undervaluing of women superheroes.
There's Supergirl, Batgirl.
They're so lame. Merely extensions of their male counterparts.
I mean, I agree with her on how some people do be sleeping on female superheroes. She uses these assertions to plant doubt in the girls' minds, especially Buttercup, who is noticeably affected. Why don't female heroes get as much love as the guys? Aren't y'all tired of not being taken seriously? She hits them with, "If you arrest me, you're basically setting feminism back 100 years. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone commits a crime and then yells, "This is for the movement," while escaping, I start squinting. So get this, they let her go. Wait, they let her go? Man, can you imagine if I tried that with the cops? The way they would have dragged me by my dreads. Later, the girls allow her to continue her crimes unopposed, rationalizing that stopping her would make them traitors to women. Femme Fatale cleverly manipulates them, claiming that female villains are nearly extinct and that arresting her would harm the cause of gender equality. Well, damn, what are Seducer and Princess Morbucks, chopped liver? They were here first, you D-list villain. What follows next is a spiral. The girls are now convinced that they've been sleeping on their own oppression, start viewing everything through a misandrist lens. When a boy accidentally knocks over a girl during a game of catch, the Powerpuff Girls, once champions of fairness, interpret it as malicious sexist aggression. They become hostile towards boys indiscriminately, no longer viewing individual behavior on its own merit. They had them boys crying in fearful of their lives. We have to remember, these are 5-year-old girls with powers of Superman. Next, we see the girls return home, and we see the professor in his cute cleaning attire. Not to get sidetracked, but the professor is so baby girl coded to me. Like, I'm really starting to understand why Seducer wanted him.
My knees now going like woof, 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 woof. Got me like woof, woof, woof.
So the professor asks him a simple request: to clean their room after he cleaned the entirety of the house and chores. And he gets the kind of death glare usually reserved for people who say Beyonce can't sing. They even refuse a plea from the mayor to save the city, insisting that it's not their job to fix his mess. Little girl, your literal job description is superhero. What do you mean that's not your problem? The mayor, a comical, hapless, but well-meaning elderly man, is confused and guilt-ridden. He misinterprets this rejection as evidence of his own misogyny.
She's right. How will I ever make it up to the women of Townsville?
Disturbed by by the girls' behavior, Miss Bellum and Miss Keene intervene. So they called the girls in for an intervention, and you know it's serious when both your teacher and the mayor's assistant stop what they're doing to orchestrate a meeting in the mayor's office. Miss Bellum's like, y'all really let a whole ass criminal run free because she said a few big words about oppression? They explain that the girls have misunderstood recent events. The boy at school didn't intend to hurt anyone. The professor was doing chores all over the house and simply asked them to help with one. The mayor called them because they're literally the superheroes of Townsville. Not because he's trying to dump responsibility on them, and not to mention the mayor is like, what, 3'2" and a senior citizen? What is he gonna do? The girls start to thaw a bit. Even with this renewed understanding, they remain conflicted. But Blossom, always the overachiever, rationalizes their inaction, pointing out that Femme Fatale is the only remaining active female villain. Girl, what? Just because there's a diversity issue among criminals doesn't mean we hand out free passes for assault and robbery. Cue the real mic drop. 3 other women roll in with receipts. A female bank president was robbed of Susan B. Anthony coins, a policewoman whose arm was broken by Femme Fatale, and a teenage girl whose hairstyle was plagiarized by the villain.
Was she looking out for me when she stole my hairstyle?
Girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
All of them look the girls dead in the eye and say,
Was Femme Fatale looking out for me?
Was she looking out for me?
Was she looking out for me?
and that's when the facade crumbles. The Powerpuff Girls realize they weren't empowering women, they were enabling a hypocrite. Not to mention, it's not brute force or lectures that bring the girls back. It's 2 women, Miss Bellum and Miss Keene. They don't preach, they don't punish, they listen. They gently guide the girls back to the truth, not just about Femme Fatale, but about themselves. They remind them what it means to be a hero, why they're so important to Townsville, that real justice isn't gendered, it's principled. At a coin convention, the girls confront Femme Fatale again, who believes the girls are still on her side.
Here you've been kicking some male butt. Good for you.
However, the girls are cold and silent. They ask her a simple but damning question. Do you even know who Susan B. Anthony was?
I was playing.
Her inability to answer speaks volumes. The girls then recount Anthony's history, how she knowingly broke the law by voting, was convicted, and refused leniency based on gender. Susan B. Anthony wanted equal rights, but also equal responsibility. She demanded the same punishment a man would receive, not a lesser one because she was a woman. The girls finally do what should have happened 15 minutes ago, give Femme Fatale the ass beating she deserved and haul her off to jail.
I'm left, I'm right, I'm right. I'm left, I'm right.
And just when you think the episode can't get any more meta, the narrator says there are no chick narrators and gets something thrown at him.
There are no chick narrators. Ow! Hey, who threw that?
This episode walks a tightrope, and not always gracefully, but it's ambitious and it wants to say something real. Let's break down the key takeaways. Femme Fatale uses feminist rhetoric to justify her crimes, appealing to the girl's sense of justice by framing her actions as a strike against male-dominated systems. However, her motivations are selfish and hypocritical, as she harms other women for her own gain. Femme Fatale is a parody of what happens when feminism gets reduced to anger without action.
Who besides you is a heroine in her own right?
There's Wonder Woman and,
That was a fucking lie.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, Femme Fatale raises a salient critique about the gender dynamics in superhero culture, asserting that male heroes often overshadow female heroes. This is partially true, as many female superheroes like Supergirl and Batgirl originated as female analogs to pre-existing male heroes, Superman and Batman respectively. Their existence was historically designed to extend the brand of already popular male characters. However, this isn't the whole story. Femme Fatale overlooks other original female heroes who are not derivative of male counterparts. While Femme Fatale critiques the visibility of women in heroic roles, she conveniently ignores those who do exist outside the male shadow.
You girls protect your city just as well as Batman and Superman protect theirs. But do you have your own movie?
And
Moreover, the criticism of the Powerpuff Girls lacking a movie compared to Batman and Superman was temporarily accurate, but historically unfounded. At the time the episode aired, the girls didn't have a movie. However, in 2002, the Powerpuff Girls movie was released as a prequel to the series showing their origin story. I highly recommend watching it. It is a 10 out of 10 origin story. This complaint remains relevant beyond the show. For decades, studios hesitated to greenlight female-led superhero films, fearing commercial failure. Films like Catwoman and Elektra underperformed critically and financially, reinforcing industry skepticism. The episode uses Femme Fatale as a vehicle to surface valid cultural criticisms, but it intentionally undermines her by exposing her hypocrisy and criminal activity. This sends a mixed signal and is one reason why this episode in particular has remained divisive among fans. Femme Fatale also claims that villainy is male-dominated, mirroring how male superheroes dominate the heroic spotlight. Within the Powerpuff Girls universe, this appears true on the surface. Major recurring villains like Mojo Jojo, him, Fuzzy Lumpkins, and the Amoeba Boys are all male. However, this observation fails to acknowledge key facts. Sedusa and Princess Morbucks are significant recurring female villains in the show's lore. There are numerous female villains in the broader superhero genre: Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Mystique, Talia al Ghul, and more. The episode itself acknowledges that Sedusa and Princess are incarcerated. Femme Fatale dismisses them to make her own case stronger, again showing selective framing. People can argue endlessly about this episode. Some see it as problematic, others dismiss it entirely. But to me, both as a child and as an adult, the message in Equal Fights have always been clear and simple. There is injustice in the world. This is the first and most important truth the episode touches on. There is injustice, and tragically, it often falls hardest on women. That's not fiction, that's not exaggeration, that's a reality we still face even decades after this episode aired. The underrepresentation in leadership, systematic barriers, harassment, and the glass ceiling, none of this is new, and none of it should be normal. How I wish it weren't true. It tells young viewers, yes, things can be unfair. Yes, injustice exists. And no, it's not your imagination. That alone was powerful, especially for a show marketed to children.
Listen, girls, you're right about one thing. There is injustice in the world.
That's why we have you to protect the rights of everyone. And right now, everyone in Townsville needs you.
In many ways, Femme Fatale is one of the show's most despicable villains, but also one of the most unique. She isn't physically imposing, she doesn't have giant lasers or armies of minions. What makes her dangerous is her manipulation, her ability to twist truth into a weapon and use it for selfish ends. The second message is just as straightforward and just as powerful. No matter who you are, man or woman, crime is crime, and if you commit a crime, you deserve just punishment for it. Equality is not about favoritism, it's about fairness. It's about accountability. Femme Fatale wanted special treatment under the guise of justice. Susan B. Anthony, by contrast, refused it. She demanded to be jailed like any man who broke the law, not because she wanted to be punished, but because she wanted to be equal. That's real feminism. That's the legacy the girls ultimately choose to honor. Equal Fights is an ambitious episode that dives headfirst into complex social issues, especially feminism and justice, within the accessible format of a children's cartoon. It highlights the importance of understanding the core values of a movement rather than adopting its slogans blindly. By contrasting Femme Fatale's self-serving rhetoric with Susan B. Anthony's real legacy, the episode emphasizes that true empowerment comes with integrity, responsibility, and the pursuit of fairness for all. Femme Fatale wasn't a freedom fighter, she was a fraud, and the Powerpuff Girls, once they took the time to learn the real lesson, chose integrity over identity politics. And honestly, that's the kind of power move Susan B. Anthony would have respected. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the notification bell so you never miss an update. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Get